The new Chainsaw Man update in Anime Rangers X has shaken up the meta. But don't worry, because today I got you covered with the best tier list covering all the major units you need in Anime Rangers X right now. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. Alright, so as you can see, I ranked some of these units already as because these units have not really moved in the tier list at all. So if you're new to the game, obviously you can check out my previous tier list if you want to see explanations behind these units. But they haven't really changed since the last update, so I'm not really going to move them around. But with that being said, let's get started with Gojo. Okay, so first off we have Gojo. As you can see, these are his stats. This is his range at level 65 with these traits. And pretty decent stats, right? Definitely not a bad unit. This is maxed. You can read his passive here. But his time has come. I'm going to be honest, his time has come. He was a unit that was very good for a very long time. But unfortunately, everything has to end. And that is the same with Gojo. So for that reason, Gojo's officially going to be in trash and will probably lose his spot on the tier list next video along with Akaza and Gyro as well. Next we have Kira. Now for Kira I would go and show you gameplay, but honestly it's just not even worth it. His passive is just too bad to, like, there's just too much going on, to be honest. He, however, is not a terrible unit. It's just his passive requires too much, and you actually have to go collect these coins yourself if you are deciding to read this. So it is a little, not enjoyable really, especially in a game that's so reliant on AFK, and Killer is not a reliable unit. Killer is also going to earn himself the trash tier as well. Don't get me wrong, his damage is decent, but his passives just aren't good enough to ever warrant bringing him. I guess you could put him in situational if you really want to. But yeah, he could also be beginner friendly since you don't have to evo him. And actually, I think I'm going to put him in beginner friendly since he is so easy to get. You just summon him off the banner and that's it. So he can go in beginner friendly because he's not quite on the same level as the other units in trash, but he's not really great either. Next we have Fugo. Now Fugo is similar for me, another unit I'm not going to get up or really show because of his passive. His passive just requires a lot of things that don't really happen in this game. Now with the souls that buff DOT and things like that now, he actually is, he probably really hasn't moved much on the tier list, but I thought I'd talk about him just because of the souls we've got and things like that. But the HP being below is just not a good passive. Most units either die relatively quickly, so he won't be able to use that passive, or he's not really going to get hurt a lot because the stuff's going to be too easy. There's not really anything in that sweet spot for his passive to activate, so overall it's not great. But I'm still going to put him in situational because they did add those souls that increase like DOT damage and stuff, so that does help him a lot. But he's still not a great unit. He's very situational, obviously, as his passive says. It's pretty simple. Next we have Gyutaro. Now Gyutaro actually did receive a nerf. As you can see, these are his stats with Sovereign. Honestly, not amazing or anything, but he is still pretty good. He did receive a nerf where this doesn't quite do as much to bosses or something like that. I'm not 100% sure what the nerf was. He still is a pretty good unit and a decent boss killer. He's just not nearly as strong as he was when he came out because he has been nerfed. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in good. I think I'm still going to have him above Kaneki. The Blood Rot is just so valuable, especially with where the bleed meta is right now, which we'll talk about later with some of the new units. He is still really good. Next we have Pucci, and Pucci is a unit I do not have, so I can't really say. His support ability is really good, but I'm honestly not sure if he's still meta. If he is, he's definitely towards the bottom. But I think I'm going to keep him in meta because he still does decent damage, right? And his passive is pretty good, but that's about it. Next we have Sid, another unit I don't have. He is definitely meta. He does a lot of damage and is a good nuke. He's just very expensive, which makes him a little bit difficult to use, but that's a lot of the newer units now, so I'm not going to hold it against him. And next we have Eto, another unit I don't have, but she received a buff, not this update, but the previous update, making her one of the best units, if not the best unit in the game. She is incredibly good. And now we have Blood Queen. Blood Queen is pretty meta. Another unit, again, I don't have, but there's a big bleed meta going on, so Blood Queen definitely helps out with that. Next we have Silver Reaper, again, bleed meta. He is very good. I'm going to put him just above Kaneki. He at one point was the highest DPS in the game, which although some people told me that wasn't true, the devs said he was the highest DPS when he came out. So I'm going to just assume that that was correct. But anyway, he is going to be pretty high and good. He's a pretty good DPS. He could probably move anywhere between these three, but I'm going to put him above Kaneki for now. Next we have Funny President. Now Funny President I don't have evoed, and that's for a good reason. He is honestly not that good, and he's way too difficult to get for how bad he is. So honestly, just not a reliable option in really anything. And before I would have him in this tier, which was kind of the mid tier, but he's no longer even situational. I would say he's trash. I mean, don't get me wrong. He can still do some damage, but he's just not great at all. And he's definitely not beginner friendly because he's pretty difficult to get. Our next we have Dio, which is another unit I don't have. I just haven't got him, but he is meta. Eto has passed him because she is very strong. That buff made her very good. Next we have Johnny. Now, Johnny is another unit who is pretty strong. As you can see, his stats here are very good. His passive is also really good. And, you know, I have decent stats on him, so you can keep that in mind as well. But he has definitely fallen off. There are definitely better units now than Johnny, but he is still a pretty solid unit. So for that, Johnny's going to go in good. I'd probably put him right behind Kaneki. I do believe Kaneki is slightly better. Johnny probably has more DPS, but Kaneki is full AoE and his range is massive. So that's why I'd give it to Kaneki. I think just slightly better. Next we have Pride or Escanor. As you can see, Escanor is kind of crazy. His stats are insane. And yeah, he gets even stronger as it goes. Now I do have Sovereign and I do have pretty good traits on him, but he is absolutely insane. Still a very good unit. So for that reason, I am actually going to put Pride in the top of good. It's hard for me to say if he's meta because I do have Sovereign on him, so it does make it a little bit difficult, but he is still very, very good. His damage is good. He is a good tank, which I will talk about later, but tanks are useless. So if you ever see, like, oh, a unit's a good tank, let me get them, do not get them for that reason. Tanks are not valuable in this game, but I will dive deeper into that later. Next, we have the Almighty, another tank. Alright, so as you can see, we have the Almighty here. He is relatively decent, right? Here's his passive. Not anything crazy, but he's definitely a pretty decent unit. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in good. I'm probably going to put him behind Gyutaro. Now, I know a lot of people would have him higher just because of his tank value, but again, tanks are useless, which I'm going to, again, talk about later, because one of the new units is the best tank in the game, and I believe that unit is trash. So just wait for that. We're going to get to that. And as we're taking our time getting to that, why don't you take the time to go subscribe? I mean, why not? We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the summer ends. And of course, you can always unsubscribe if you don't enjoy the content, right? But let's keep it pushing. We've got Yuta next, or Uta, however you say it. So let's take a look at her. All right, so Yuta, as you can see, has pretty crazy numbers, especially if you know anything about her. You know she is an incredible support. So those numbers are insane. As you can see, those are the stats I have on her. She's incredibly fast, so we're gonna have to look at the passive. You're gonna have to pause it if you want to read it because she is so fast. But yeah, she's incredibly good. Probably the best support in the game. Still, it's close, but she's very good. So for that, Uta is by far still meta. I honestly, as crazy as it is, I'd run Uta over Dio. She's so much cheaper, and you don't need to upgrade her to get value. I think she's going to keep going up, honestly. She's an incredibly valuable unit. I could see the reason why you'd have her above someone like Dio. Now, I could also see why you'd have Dio more. Dio has more damage. His passives are insane. So I am going to put her right behind him. But I could see the argument for Yuta being at the top because she is incredibly valuable. But next we have Soul King. Alright, next up we have Soul King or Aizen. As you can see, these are his stats here. And that's the stats I have on him. He is pretty slow, but as you can see, the numbers are going up rapidly because that's what he does, right? He is a pretty good unit. He is very difficult to get, but it is definitely worth it. I mean, look at those numbers already, and that's just off this tiny little path, right? Now, there aren't that many things that are that hard, so he's probably never going to get his full passive activated, but he's still incredibly good even without it, and he has an ability. So for that reason, Aizen's going to go into meta. He's around Dio, whichever way you want to slice it. I believe Aizen does more damage, and I value damage more than anything in this game because it is by far the most important thing, no matter what anybody tells you. It's by far the most important thing in the game. Everything else you can get very easily, so I would say damage is most important, then probably speed. And I know his speed is very slow, so maybe that's why you want to put him there, but I value damage over health way more, so I'm going to put Aizen above him, but they're interchangeable, so whichever. And of course, you could put Yuta above both of them if you'd like. Next, we have Shinji. Now, Shinji's another unit not really worth taking a deep dive into. He's definitely not a bad unit. He just doesn't really have anything special about him or too comparable. As you can see, you can read his passives here. It's pretty solid. But some of them have to deal with health, and you know how I feel about health. Not really that important. He is a good unit, though. Yeah, I'd probably put him behind Johnny, maybe behind Carrot even. He is a pretty solid unit, but just nothing too crazy. Next we have Kisuke. Now, Kisuke is another unit I have, but as you can see, I don't have good stats on him, and he is not max level. I don't really have enough stuff to get him up, right? And he's not really the most important to do that. But he actually is a pretty solid unit, and when you activate his Bankai, he becomes pretty fast, I'm pretty sure. I'm not too sure, but he's pretty fast if you get good stats on him. Overall, he is a pretty good unit. So Kisuke is definitely pretty valuable. I'd probably put him just above Ken Kaneki. He is still pretty good. Maybe behind him and Johnny. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, mine's not all the way up, but his passives are pretty good. His damage numbers are pretty good, and he's relatively quick. So I think that puts him in a pretty good spot. Next, we have Jackpot, who I don't have. He is a meta DPS, but his passive is kind of difficult to trigger, so I'm not going to really put him any higher, but he is pretty good. Next, we have Thunder Goddess, or Yoroichi. Alright, so here we have Yoroichi. As you can see, she is so incredibly fast. Yeah, you could read the passive here if you want, but that's really what makes her so good. She is so fast, and she's like very good for challenges and story farming. So it's kind of difficult for me. I think I am going to put her meta, but she's pretty much just meta for grinding, like easy stuff, like challenges, story modes, legend stages. So that's why I do believe she is meta. But I can't put her much higher because all she is fast, right? Her damage isn't even that good at all, but she's just really fast, so it makes her pretty valuable. Alright, next we have Unohana. Now this is another unit, once again, I've not been able to get up because I just haven't had the resources. Yes, I can reroll her stats, but I haven't been able to get her level 50 or get a good trait on her. But we can take a look at her passive, and I relatively know her damage numbers are pretty decent, so let's take a look. So as you can see, you can pause and read, but she's another bleed unit. She's a part of the bleed meta, so of course she's going to be pretty good. So for that reason, she's going to go in meta. I'd probably put her above Blood Queen. They're a part of the same meta, and I do think she is pretty good, but they're relatively similar, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of why they're going near each other. Alright, next we have Ichigo, which I don't have. For some reason, I can't pull this guy no matter how many gems I use. I can't get Ichigo. I can't. However, I do know his damage numbers and passive are pretty good. I'm going to put him meta. I'm probably going to put him above Sid. He's definitely a lot easier to get than pretty much everybody behind him, other than Yoroichi, and he's very, very good. So, yeah, he's going to go meta. Next, we have Flame Captain, which, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really want to rate because he's not in the game right now, but he is coming back soon, so I will say I'm going to put him in Situational. His passive is one of those ones that are a little bit difficult to activate, so you do kind of need to, just worry about what his passive is and stuff. And then his damage numbers are decent as well. He's not anything crazy. I'm going to put him in Situational. Next, we have Blood Devil. So Blood Devil's another unit I haven't been able to get up, and that's because I just got her. I put Denji in my banner, so I wasn't able to get her till she came into banner, which I did get her, obviously, as you could tell, but I haven't been able to get her up. As you can see, she's level 1. But I do know her damage numbers are pretty good. I do know she is pretty fast, and I do know her bleed is pretty damn good. She's a very good bleed unit, and like I said, she's very fast and does pretty decent damage. So for that, Blood Devil is going to go into meta. I'm probably going to put... I don't know if she belongs above Sid, to be honest. Bleed units are a little tricky, in my opinion, because you don't really see the numbers straight up, right? But she probably has the potential to be up here, but she is very good. Either way, she's meta. You know, don't trip out over the fact that she's, you know, plus or minus 2 spots where she should be. She's pretty good. Next, we have Himino. Now, this is the unit I wanted to talk about. These are the stats I have on her. She has Capitalist. I wanted to talk about this unit because I do not believe she is good. Her damage numbers aren't good. Her health's not that crazy. But she's ranked as the best tank in the game. And I will show you why I'm going to respawn her. I'm going to use her active ability, which is called Ghostly Sacrifice, in which, yeah, now she does 0 damage. And her health should increase. I don't know when it does. But anyway, basically what it does is it times her health by 3 or 4 times. I don't remember. So it puts her health at like 400, 500,000 or whatever. But what is that useful in? You know, I'm not too sure where you would ever use that. None of my units die while doing the raids. None of them die in the legend stages. None of them die in the portals. None of them die in the boss rush. None of them die anywhere in the Infinity Castle. Like, what is the purpose of having all that health and no damage? If you want someone with a lot of health, just in case you're worried, just get Escanor. He does a lot of damage, has a lot of health. Get Almighty. does a lot of damage, has a lot of health. There's no reason to have that much health and do 0 damage. She is a trash unit. She is terrible. And so for that reason, she is going into trash. Unless if she is changed, I really don't think she's good at all. I think she's honestly terrible. I just don't really see the use in her. But next, we have Denji. Definitely a better unit. Now, Denji has one major flaw, and that is that he's expensive, and his range is kind of small. But as you can see, his numbers are pretty crazy. He has a lot of health. You know, a lot of units have a lot of health. Sorry, I just really don't like Himeno. I think she's bad. He does a lot of damage as well. As you can see, these are the stats I have on him. He also has a passive here that you can read. He is pretty good. And he is very well paired up with the bleed meta that is going on right now. Denji overall is very good. His only issue is he's expensive and his range isn't that good, but also he's incredibly fast. So very good at farming challenges and story. You probably don't even need Yoruichi if you have Denji. He is extremely, extremely good. So for that reason, I'm going to put Denji in the meta. Not only does he do a lot of damage, and he is very well synced up with the meta at the moment, he is also very fast. He basically does everything. The only thing is he's kind of expensive. But he starts off at quite a lot of damage. So if you are farming the shorter stuff, you don't even need to upgrade him. Whereas Yoruichi, you might need to upgrade to make it a little quicker. You don't need at all. You just press auto retry, and he's going to wipe everything immediately. Also, the new raid has had some glitches. I think they're all fixed now, but Denji does fix a lot of those glitches too. So, you know, unfortunately, that does put him pretty high because of the unfortunate circumstances of glitches, but he is still incredibly valuable. So I'm going to put him at number 2. I think he's a very, very strong unit. All right, next we have Makima. All right, so as you can see, these are Makima's stats. These are the stats I have on her. She's pretty solid damage-wise, ability-wise, and everything like that, which before she didn't have an ability. Before you evo her, she does not have an ability, so she doesn't do a lot of damage. But she does have an ultimate as well. But I want to show you the passive. You can read all this if you want. I'm not going to. But pretty much, she kills 10 units. She becomes overpowered, which is honestly not that difficult. She also has an ultimate, which I'm not 100% sure what it does. It needs to have a unit in range, apparently. So, or not. Oh, no. You probably need to have contracts. Enough contracts to use it. Probably 10. That's my assumption. Yes. You need 10 full contracts, and she is very, very good. So Makima, of course, is going to go into meta. I really don't know where to put her. The only problem with the 10 contracts, I think I'm going to put her under the bleed units, because the problem with the 10 contracts is you're not really only bringing her, and I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure she actually has to deliver the final blow or it does not count. Like I said, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works in this game, unlike other games. Now, if I am wrong, that's going to move her up a lot more, so I do apologize if so, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works, that she actually has to be the one to get the kill. So that's going to move her down slightly because it's going to be a little bit harder to get the kills, especially if you bring someone like Denji. Now, don't get me wrong, Makima is pretty fast, but Denji's going to beat her there and probably kill the units before she can even get there. So she is very good, don't get me wrong, but kind of hard to activate her ability. Next, we have Switchblade, which I don't have, but Switchblade received a buff, making them a pretty solid unit. Not really sure where they're going to go. You could argue they go into Situational, but she is, or I don't know. Someone corrected me on the gender. I'm sorry, I don't remember. They're pretty good. I don't know, guy or girl. I apologize. But next we have Pink Sniper. Now, Pink Sniper, I do not have. I'm like one level away from hitting level 50, but she is the number 2 DPS in the game. Now, I don't think that quite puts her at number 2 in the game. I'd honestly probably put her there, because the reason you bring these other guys ahead of her is because of the passive. Now, she might have a crazy passive. I don't know, because I don't have her. So if her passive's crazy, then she might be number 1, number 2, right? But I'm pretty sure she's just a pretty big damage dealer, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I've heard about her. So I'd probably put her here because she doesn't buff like Yuta. She doesn't time stop like Dio. She doesn't infinitely stack. Well, I say infinitely, but you get it. Like Aizen. She doesn't fit as well into the meta with Denji, if I'm not mistaken. And Denji's also incredibly fast. Don't get me wrong. Still a great unit. And the best Battle Pass unit we've ever got. But I can't put her much higher. Next is Last Survivor. Obviously don't have her either. But she seems to be a decent unit. Honestly, I'm not too sure if she'll probably make it somewhere around here. I can't imagine she's that much better. And then we have Ice General, who is a support. I imagine freezes. Again, don't know enough about the damage numbers, so I'm going to put her in good, because I can't convince myself to put a unit I know nothing about any higher, and I do apologize for not knowing this information about her, but she did just come out, so, you know, cut me a little bit of slack. You know, I do know she is a pretty good support, though. I know her support ability is really good. I do believe it freezes enemies, so it makes her pretty strong. I just don't know if her damage numbers are good, what her cost is like, and what her speed is and stuff like that. So she's going to be in good no matter what because of her support ability. So she only has the potential to go higher. So that's why I have Ice General there. But yeah. So this is the final tier list. Obviously, you can take a break to pause and look at it. But yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be. Most of these people in trash, unless if they get changed, are going to be gone. I will say the first 4 definitely will be. I'll probably still leave Himeno on since she's relatively new. But with that being said, this is what the current tier list looks like for Anime Rangers X. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the summer ends, and it would help me out a lot if you did that. Also, I have my Discord in the description if you want to join the community. Once we hit 50 members, we're going to be doing a viewer-based video, so you guys don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss being a part of future videos. As well, I have my Twitch and second channel in the description if you want to see more of me. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you had an amazing day. Thank you for watching.